This is a service announcement for future Matthew, who will be editing this bit. Please make sure you put some kind of reminder before the sentence to make sure that anybody who's eating right now maybe pauses for the moment.
Enjoying that corn on the cob, boys and girls? I hope so. Welcome to the Midlife Gamer Podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 6th of November 2018, and my name is Darren Baldock, and joining me at the other end of the internet, down in the stronghold of Farringdon, we have the gorgeous, beautiful Mr. Matthew Moore he's always looking good. I always say he's looking dashing and debonair, but he really does, and that beard, you've got a bit of salt and pepper going on there, my friend, and it's mighty handsome. How are you?
Marvellous.
Good stuff. Well, let's not dilly-dally. We've got plenty to talk about. So everybody, just kick back, relax, and let's all enjoy episode 284 of the Midlife Gamer Podcast. Right then, my friend.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this one, Darren. It's been far too long.
Is it like a poo you've been holding in for far too long? And when it finally comes out, it's that perfect crimp. Yeah.
But, did you ever crimp your hair? I was about to ask you if you ever crimped your hair, but I don't know. Was your hair ever that long?
Do you know what? I may have dabbled with a crimper at some point.
Yeah. And
then thought, nah, this isn't for me. We'll leave it to the ladies. We'll leave it to the ladies, but more on shit shenanigans a little later on, I'm sure. So buddy, what's been going on? Because it has been an inordinate amount of time since we last recorded. But to be fair, we kind of, as we always do, we wore ourselves out with the Eurogamer weekend, and I'm sure we'll touch on all that activity, even though it does seem like a very distant memory. You know, it's still very warm in my heart, and I want to say a few words. I've been on holiday. I went away for a little while, so we'll talk a little about that. And I've got to assume we've been playing some games, so I'm sure we can have a good chat about all things digital and analog in our world. What do you say?
I think we've got a lot to talk about. The first thing I need to ask you about, because it was, and herein lies the problem sometimes with us going so long without doing a show, because we have had a couple of catch-up chats and almost doing shows, and just thought, let's just have a chat instead. But you left us on the last show with your, I guess, your diagnosis and your new equipment for your sleep aid. How's it going?
Brilliantly. Yeah, really, really, really well. I'm using it every night, wherever I go in the world, whether it's to Birmingham to get drunk or to another part of the world to sun my ass off. It goes with me, and ironically, I got stopped on the at the security leaving Birmingham or going into Birmingham Airport, and they absolutely had no. They weren't interested at all in the CPAP machine. They were more interested in the two solid bricks that were in my carry-on bag. I said, dude, fucking magic cards. Right? Just relax. There's nothing explosive about them, or not unless I play them in the right order, eh? Know what I'm saying? Am I right? Am I right, people?
With a double checking they were sleeved. So you're fucking talking to here, fella. Recognise.
Yes. So no, it's all going well, mate. Thank you for asking. And I did go back to the hospital last week, actually, for a follow-up set of tests. It's kind of basically just to say, right, well, you've been using it for just over a month, or probably a month and a half now. How do your readings compare to your initial test, where we identified that you were in a bad way? So I've done all that test, but I've not had the results yet. It takes them a little while to churn all that stuff through because, you know, NHS.
I know. I remember last time you were saying it was an awful lot per minute, wasn't it? Was it every couple of seconds?
Yeah, it's 48.9, but I'm now below. I mean, the app associated with the machine I use, it gives me a report within a couple of hours of me waking up, which tells me exactly how I've got on, gives me a score out of 100. And
is there a leaderboard and friends list?
I don't think there is, mate. I don't think there is, but maybe there should be. Maybe I'll put that in as a request. But no, the events per hour is now in normal range. Anything less than 5 an hour is classed as fine, okay. You're golden, and that's where I'm at, and that's where I hope to stay. But the other positive side of it, aside from all the other good stuff like my body getting proper rest, is I don't snore anymore.
Well, that's going to be a big benefit to all those around you.
Yes, I mean occasionally you'll benefit from that because occasionally you and we'll share a room, we'll have a little cuddle, won't we?
I know. Think that it must be my self-medication, but it's never affected me.
No, it's all good, mate. Thank you for asking. And yeah, that's it. I'm on it now. I'm on it. The mask and me are bedfellows for life.
You did post a picture on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure you must have had some fun with the what are they called now? When you take a photograph and you can filters. You must have played with the filters to get a nice sort of DC evil supervillain black and white shot. You did look very Bane.
Didn't I just still waiting for that call up from Marvel? But yeah, that was all good, mate. What about so what else has been going
on? Gosh, it's been a long time. Should we cover EGX as we're here?
Please, yeah, let's do.
All right, so end of September, when we're now in November now, it has been a while. And we'll always apologise for the regularity of our shows, but I'm sure, as you appreciate, 10 years in, we all like us get in the way. And as it happens, technology seems to be hamstringing me somewhat tonight. So let's see how the show goes. But EGX, it was a fantastic weekend as usual. We're back in Birmingham. From a selfish point of view, we all changed hotels, and once again, I still cannot understand why it was that we maintained that the cheapest hotel in Birmingham was the best idea. I would rather pay an extra couple of quid a night to get a hotel and service and breakfast and bars. It was lovely.
God, this is Matthew's personal first world problem diary. Oh, I can't be doing with that stink of piss in the underpass and the risk of getting raped again. What do you mean again? Well, we've got to go back that way, haven't we? No, you're right, mate. It was nice, and I actually put that hotel bar to good use on the Thursday night when I got there. Yeah, because I made a late decision to bring my cube to the hotel, but I was adamant it wasn't going to leave the hotel. But I managed to get young Mr. Rich Forder to make his way through the pissing rain to come and find me, and we sat and drafted. I think you joined us, didn't you, for a moment or two?
Up until you mentioned it, I completely forgot. Yeah, but I sort of sat there and tried to work out both Instagram and Magic at the same time, and guess what? I learned nothing.
Well, they cancel each other out, didn't they? Because one's fun and the other's shit.
I gotta say, it was interesting watching two people play, and I think, am I right in thinking that Forder was a bit of an old school Magic player and was kind of trying to recall how things did work, and it was lovely to watch. I understood. I'm glad that I was able to sit there and watch somebody else play it. I think if I was trying to play it and learn at the same time, I may not have the patience for that. Yeah. But to see you guys do it together was kind of fun, and I got to see your cards individually, and eventually it was like, right, let's just enjoy ourselves and try and keep Matt's attention for a bit. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And to your point around, people relearning or recalling their their games from years ago, trying to get those strategies back. I mean, that extended over the course of the weekend. I think on the Friday, we went onto the show floor, and then I just set up a stall, basically sat outside of the atrium and sat and played with Derek, who's a very good player.
He's regional Scottish awesome championness something I heard.
Yes.
And did that translate? I mean, was that a real challenge to play someone who's got some old school home skills?
Well, of course. I mean, to be fair, we were both all I bought to that session was the starter decks, so there was no crazy trickery going on. But still, within those decks, there's a real opportunity to play some sequential cards that really can be quite devastating. Who else? Rich Purvis, another lapsed Magic player. He came and played for a little while, and we even had the opportunity to tutelage some new players as well, which was great fun. But I had a fantastic day. It was brilliant.
I bet you did. We did pop into the NEC proper itself.
You did.
Granted, we did kind of make a beeline. I left you and a couple of folks around a sort of a Fallout/board game area.
Yeah.
And I fucked off and spoke to Special Effect for a bit because I love them.
Of course you do. I love them.
So let's talk about the show. I mean, I know it's been a long time since we've been excited about the show floor itself and playing things. What I am taking away from this one, and it's not the first time it's happened, is that, I don't know, there certainly wasn't anything there for me, right? But I was seeing a lot of things. I don't know if it's more than usual, if it's been like this for a long time. I'm not unsure, but a lot of stuff that's already out. And I get that. I get why you want to have Spider-Man and Destiny 2 there, because you're hoping people like you will walk past. I mean, it's the first time you'd seen it in action. I think you were like, "Ooh, I can see why people like this."
Oh, hell yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't just. It was there as a way of reminding people and getting a couple of cheap sales. They were kind of there in quite big format, if you like. So maybe it's the same. Everything that they've used on the lead up to it in pre-release events, they were like, well, let's just keep that because we go into Gamescom, we go into Clone, we'll go into EGX at least, so we can ship it all there. So I felt a lot of real estate, and I'm still getting used to the size of the NEC compared to World's Corp, and it is a lot bigger and a lot better organised. And I like the NEC as a venue. I think I can see why it attracts an awful lot of business. It's very, very well done with great connections.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of old games I found there, fella.
Yeah, I mean, and what you've got to bear in mind is that we are some way into the current cycle of hardware. I think you're in a position where, I mean, do you remember EGXs where there was new hotness? There's always generally been some new hotness, whether it was something like handheld and portable, or whether it was a new console release. I think when was it back? 2013 will have been the year that I'm sure it was 2013 with the announcements of Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So 5 years in, aside from incremental upgrades, we're still using the same hardware, and I think there's I don't know. I miss the buzz of a new console. It really does set the stage and makes for a great EGX weekend. But I mean, to your point about the venue itself and the way it's organised, absolutely top drawer. I always enjoy myself at EGX. It's nice and roomy and airy. Those guys at Eurogamer, they've got it nailed. They're old pros at it now. Wristband spelling errors aside, well, it's going to happen occasionally, isn't it? But we'll ride the storm, and it doesn't matter.
I'd like to think that they didn't sack him, but they kept him on because he was good anyway. But he's never going to live that down. Every Christmas, sending Christmas cards with spelling mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. And I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't give a brief mention of the party on the Saturday night, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was a fantastic evening, and all credit to the community managers for all the hard work they've done. And I made a point of thanking all those people on the night, but my main thanks goes to everyone who attended, because without you guys there, we don't have an evening of entertainment. It's it was an amazing evening again, and I enjoyed it. I think it was my favourite one.
You reckon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Certainly
because it's the most recent. They're all my favourite one. Before we jump off the eject itself, two things. One, we bumped into a chap called Kyle who stopped us to say hello. So hello, Kyle. Thank you for reaching out. Interesting that he suggested or that he saw me once in a Tesco's in a market town in Hertfordshire and was tempted to come and say hello to me. I said, "Oh, mate, say what." Particularly if my missus was with me as well. If you'd have come over to me, I'd have looked like a fucking god.
Yeah, I know, but he was probably wary because you were stood there fondling a bloody cucumber and stroking it.
I was probably on my own buying the worst things possible. You thought, you know what? Last thing Matty needs right now is me coming and say hello to him. I'll either get a slap or a kiss, and either way, I ain't taking the chances.
No, it was good. It doesn't happen to us very often, but it does take me by surprise sometimes when somebody just wanders up and stops us and says hello, and it was a wonderful feeling. It's always great to meet new people. So thank you, Carl.
Yes, thank you, buddy boy. Going into the party as well, there was something which kind of made me smile, and I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. But when it comes to EGX, one of the things that I kind of manage is the DJ. So I do the, well, I say I do. I help with the booking of DJ Dano, and he said to me last time we spoke, it was just before me and you recorded a show. He had an idea. He was going to bring a projector and a big screen, and he was going to set it up so people could tweet, and it would live tweet the message itself and associated pictures onto this big screen, and he'd be able to admin it himself. So it's not. So there is a quality gate there, which is very unlike Midlife Gamer, but there is a quality gate. And I told you about that on before we did the last show, and you're like, "That sounds awesome." I said, "Oh no!" I said, "No, Darren, come on, and let's not add another bit of complexity to the evening." Now, although I said that to you, I didn't say that to DJ Dano. So he sets it up and he pulls out this fucking monster. I'm like, "What are we doing?" He goes, "Oh, it's that thing." And Darren's eyes just lit up. And what he'd done is he allowed it so that, was it the hashtag MLGX he must have been just searching on his laptop, and was able to pull tweets out that we were all tweeting from inside the venue, and they were then put it on a rotation and coming up on this big screen. And it was amazing to see. It was amazing for me to sort of stand at the front or on the periphery or at the bar and on a big screen see what was happening deeper into the venue without having to go myself, and just seeing people having their fun. It was fun, and I think that guess what? Doing that again, great idea. But next time we're going to let the outside community know about it, because I want to start seeing pictures coming in from the outside. But once again, quality gates, no cock and balls, no rusted trombones. We're going to keep it sensible and adult and family friendly.
God, there's always one like you, isn't there? Ruined it for everybody else.
Well, there was a picture of me early on that we took with, it involved my jeans around my ankles.
Okay, and the less said about that, the better. I think
you had to be there to see it.
You did. Right, I want you to talk to me. I want you to talk to me about all the hot video game action you've been getting on recently.
It's an awful lot, and I don't want to whip through it. So we can at least start off by saying that I completed Spider-Man, and I had a hell of a time with Marvel Spider-Man. It's it's an open world game. I sort of sat down, I collected everything, and I really enjoyed finding things. I really enjoyed the unlock systems of the different suits, which give you different abilities, but then you can map their abilities to other suits you prefer the look of them. I mean, there's one of these suits that you wear, and you must have seen it in pictures on Twitter and people sharing things. It just looks like the comic book thing. It looks like it's sort of like rendered in the same engine, and works in cutscenes and everything else. It's such a fun game with an awful lot of there's a lot of Spider-Man going on in that. Whoever designed that were like, right, well, if we're going to put a reason to have 30 different suits in this with different abilities, we're going to have to draw quite deeply from the Spider-Verse, I assume is what it's called. And so that whole Spider-Man vibe was great. I had a moment. I had a couple of moments, I must say, and again, I think this is down to the fact that I wasn't mainlining the story, and I was very much going for collectibles and all the side activities, because it's signposted really well, and it's fun to do. It's fun to be Spider-Man. So there were times where I'd sort of sit down. I think I mentioned it last time as a real positive of open world game is you can sit down, you can play it because you want to go through the story, or you can sit down because you want to dick around. I struggle to get, when I find that point of like, right, I want story now. I'm going to go beat for beat story. Took a long time for that story to finally kind of start going places. And also sort of, I guess frustratingly for me, but also part of just game design, is that a lot of the things that I'd found myself doing in these side activities, I was doing in the story mode as well. I mean, the side activities correctly should be more exposure to some of the mechanics that we made that you may have really enjoyed. So when I did sort of go through the story missions, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know these are great fun and everything, but where are all these baddies? There were 6 baddies. There was 5 canon Marvel Spider-Man foes, and the 6th one who was created specifically for this story, which is, again, is an interesting thing for Marvel to kind of like go, well, they're part of it. They're like, yep, let's fuck it, let's do it. Spider-Man, why not? But when it started to ride and started to rock, I really enjoyed that story a lot more than. But okay, if Spider-Man: Homecoming as a movie didn't exist, I would say this was my favourite telling of a Spider-Man thing.
Wow. Okay.
But have you seen Homecoming?
I've not.
Fucking hell.
The last the Spider-Man I saw was the Tobey Maguire one. Yeah, that's how well up I am on the Marvel cinematic universe.
Well, if it sounds like I'm speaking like some kind of a pro, you did better than me. I didn't even watch the emo one. I did Toby 1 and 2, and then I hear Andrew Garfield was a thing. But you should go and watch Homecoming. You really should. It's a real romp of a film.
All right.
But back to the game. Yeah, I finished it. Again, a very sweet story. A little bit of a tear in my eye. It did take that universe places very quickly. And from what I've learned since, some of the characters in it are very much Spider-Man canon. So yeah, very happy with it. There's DLC out, so the first set of DLC is dropped. I think there's probably if you got the Balls Deep edition, you'll have already got it and probably played it. Sure. I was going to go for the platinum, but I mismanaged some resources that are finite. It would mean I would have to go back and platinum or gold star events because I pissed up my bronze. I'm like, I ain't that good.
What do I always tell you, Matthew? Don't piss up your bronze. Ever. Okay? There's one thing you don't do. You piss up the wall, don't piss up the bronze.
Roger that. So, Spider-Man. I would love to see, and I was sort of like thinking it and whispering and hoping to myself that if they could somehow turn that into a multiplayer game or a 2-player game with 2 dudes swinging around in that world, that would be fucking magical. That would be magical. And then,
that would be good because there's more than one Spider-Man, isn't there?
Yeah. Do you know what? I now know that.
Yes.
Yeah. So if they and they are supporting that with DLC, which is great. And I'm going to stop talking about Spider-Man, but 2 thumbs up and all that. It turns out they're not doing any DLC for God of War.
Why? And
don't know.
What's the story behind that?
I don't know, but I don't know what the story is, but that's a thing. That's really fucking annoying for me because I even thought to myself, right, there are areas that are gated off from a portal system where, well, brilliant. There's two entire universes there that I guess that'll be DLC because it's a story-based single-player game. I guarantee you fucking know I will eat my socks if it turns out that this has been rebooked or I'm just completely wrong.
You heard it here first, people.
But that's kind of annoying for a single-player, very story-based, very successful game which went through an awful lot of developments, and cannot maintain its ability to sell without multiplayer, not to do that. Well,
what flavour sauce are you going to put on your socks?
well, that'll be a question for the ages. We'll do a poll.
Oh, okay. Red or brown? Or you're going to go
brown.
crazy and have salad cream?
Okay, so what we've done Spider-Man.
Yep.
Recap a few things. And I still want to speak about, and I'm not going to do it now, Dead Cells, which is the roguelike that I keep falling into and getting real into, and then going down custom wikis to understand as much as I can, like I do sometimes when I get into a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls game. And then something else more shiny comes along and takes me away from it. So if we'd have spoken about 2 weeks ago, I would sit here and I would explain every single mechanic of Dead Cells, and you'd be probably quite bored, right? But guess what, listeners? We'll save that for another time, yeah? You can't wait.
Yeah, all right. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, because that Red Dead Redemption 2 came out and all that, didn't it?
Right then. So did we love film this, or did we buy it? Did we digital, or did we physical? Talk to me.
So I've not been love filming now for a while, and all my purchases are done digital.
Excellent stuff.
So it was the cheapest digital version that I think had stuff with it.
Yeah, just give me the game.
Yeah, give me the game. Yeah. It's £60. It's a tax on the lazy, but I get to pre-install it.
All right. Okay.
And there's some people that's worth a tenner.
It is, because time is money. It's probably one of the most precious things we've got at our age. It becomes more and more important. If you can spend a tenner to save a couple of hours, no brainer, mate.
Yeah. I'll tell you what was lovely about this game coming out is that this could be one of the biggest game releases of this generation.
I heard somewhere, and I could be wrong or they could be lying, because, hey, guess what? Somebody reckons that there's fake news all over the place if you listen to all the wrong people. Red Dead Redemption 2 was the single largest entertainment opening weekend on record. So that would encompass movie releases, so you think, go up against stuff like, the last Avengers film, bada, boom, video game beat it. How far have we come? How far have we come? You think back to, when we were hunched over our 14-inch portable TVs in our bedroom with an RF cable plugged into the back of it, fiddling with the tuning knob to try and get rid of all the wavy lines on your ZX Spectrum or your Commodore 64. Who'd have thought back then that we would be playing games of the caliber that are around in modern day development and are selling in the volumes that they are? It always amazes me. Yes, I'm nowhere near as close to video games as I have been in the past, but I've still got a hell of a lot of respect for what goes on in the video game industry, and they have come so far in what you could argue is a relatively short amount of time. The movie industry has been around over 100 years. Video games started in the 80s.
Do you know what? As much as it being such a big epic release and the scale that you speak of, it's also business, man. That makes some fucking money. I can't walk out of my house without someone's hearing the word Fortnite in the real world. Imagine if you're walking around and someone get going, Gauntlet. What Gauntlet? Everyone's playing Gauntlet these days.
Yeah. The Fortnite phenomena, again, I understand it in some ways, but in other ways, I don't want to understand it. I don't want to get too close to it. I don't want to get involved.
That's because you're old, man.
I don't want to get involved in something that isn't spelt correctly. All right?
Have we found your level?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. The grammar Nazi kicked in, and I said, no, if they can't spell it right, I ain't fucking playing it.
Wow. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a fucking incredible... It's a thing. up to the leader release, there was lots of like, people maybe having to go back on statements like, I guess we all worked hard on it, and it was an interesting dialogue. So it's like, hey, let's talk about how hard game development is, but also how much passion's in it, and how proud these people are to have worked on such a product. And again, seeing the zeitgeist around it, I've got to tell you that let's take a step back and think Rockstar themselves. So I've played all the GTAs, and I played Red Dead Redemption. I had no concept what Revolver was beforehand, its predecessor. But I wasn't hyped, and people were hyped as hell about this. I know they were. And it wasn't until maybe the week before, that week run up, I started thinking, shit, man, this is more than just the sequel to Red Dead Redemption. This is an event that people are really engaging in and really enjoying, and I had to be part of that.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm glad I am. I mean, I pre-installed it. It could have been available at midnight when they flicked the switch. I think I got to it sort of, let's say, after work time on Friday.
What time did you finish work on Friday? Or did you actually start even?
Of course I started. I had SLAs to get to, you hear me? And now, gosh almighty, it's very much, and this is why I went back to thinking about what my love or appreciation for Rockstar is I know them for GTA. I know them for GTA. And GTA 5 was great, and it's made them more money than they could imagine with what online became. I appreciate the fact that the next big thing they did and big release they did was something that wasn't GTA.
Yeah.
It's got a very, I don't know, maybe right now in this day and age, it's nice to remember how what we consider to be modern society started, and some of the struggles that people go through. Generally, I guess I'm kind of going on a slight flight of fancy right now, but I'm glad that it wasn't just GTA 6 is here, this is you killing hookers, this is you running people over, and it's fun. Let's do that, because that's what fun is, and that's what games are. And I know there's more to GTA than just that. But this is going to be a title that I'm hoping people will be able to refer to this in the future as one of the ways that you can go about telling a story and designing something to interact with and to play with.
I'm enjoying how that you're talking around the game, but not talking too much around the story. And if we continue to do that for the time being, that would be awesome. I would certainly be interested to know what your first few hours were like. What did you do? I mean, similar to Spider-Man, did you follow some of the main story path? Was it forced down your throat, or at what point did it kind of just go, hey, there's a whole big world out there, just you and your hoss?
I think we'll get to that. We'll get to that, because one of the, you're talking about talking around the story, and I can do that very easily because I started to play and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, that's Dutch. He was a person. Oh my god, there's John. That's who you, Joe. That's who you play in the first one. I mean, but the second one, the one after this, that's him.
You spoilering twat! I didn't know John was in it.
Oh, how have you not? He's in all of the promotional and marketing material. I'm terribly sorry. That's as far as I will go. What I'm trying to get to you is that I didn't remember or appreciate or care necessarily, or remember, should I say, what happened in that first one, which is why I wasn't all that sort of pumped about it. Sure. So from a story point of view of oh shit, man, I'm so sorry that I've spoiled that for you. You genuinely have been so far away from this.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what. Oh, you shouldn't really class that as a spoiler. I'm going to give you a pass. And the reason I'm going to give you a pass is because I was watching a trailer for it the other day, and I caught myself. I thought, I recognise that voice. That's Mr. Marston. Yes, that's Mr. Marston. So if you care anything about this franchise, you will have played Red Dead Redemption. You will have been watching trailers for RDR2. You're going to have some kind of clue that Marston features in some way, shape, or form. As long as I don't know how he features, I'm happy to to experience that when I play the game.
100%, and I am nowhere near. I'm just about scratching the surface of the story itself.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things you've asked me was how I was tackling it. You'll just see a lot of people saying it's a slow game, and you'll see people appreciating it's a slow game. You need to. If I'd have put this on, and I maybe only had 45 minutes before I had to go and do something, I'd miss an awful lot of that onboarding.
Yeah.
It's very emotional onboarding, and then it very slowly doles out the mechanics that are behind it, which you already kind of expect because we've seen it before and we know they're going to be there. So it takes a lot of. For me, it took some patience. And it's not going to take everyone patience. Some people will just like buy into it immediately. People who play a lot of the games like The Witcher or GTA or the new Assassin's Creed games, you kind of get used to having to fiddle against walking animations with a controller.
Yeah.
It took me a bit to get used to it.
Okay.
So again, which is why I'm thinking, and again, I think most people are aware of or know what they're getting into, so they'll give them that time. And again, the emotional onboarding, not of the story necessarily, but the world. I mean, the character that you play isn't, from what I'm aware, wasn't featured in the first one. So as far as being one of the old gangs, he's just this dude, but very quickly, very likable, and I've kind of fallen in love with this little gang.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of them. I should say that I'm in chapter 2. Like chapter 1 seemed to be like, wow, look how amazing this game is. We've done it. We did it. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, before you run off and shoot everybody just for shits and giggles, take a look around and appreciate the work that we put into crafting this world and its environment. And that's what I like to do with these kind of games. Is, you know, you've almost subconsciously, you have to acknowledge that somebody has placed that rock there, or somebody has put that tree, somebody has crafted that tree and put it there, and there's a rope hanging off it. Somebody will have, you know, and there'll be a reason for it, and it might not be immediately apparent, but you gotta remember that sense of place that those games give you is just phenomenal if you allow it to wash over you.
And another thing this does fantastically, I think, again, I'm going to completely contrast it to GTA and why I'm happier that it's better than different than GTA. In GTA, if you fuck up a mission and end up running people over and the police come after you and you get away, there's no real... As soon as you've got away from the police, everything resets. And I'm sure they do this in other games and in the previous one as well. It makes a point to say, like, anything that you do and you're witness for, and it's known to be you, there's going to be, I guess, a bounty put on your head. It's less about, I can't go around there because bounty hunters will get me. It's like, shit, I want to go to that town because that's where I go to that town and do shit. But because I accidentally got into a fist fight and I didn't have my mask up and someone pissed me off and I pressed the wrong fucking button and guess what? Oops, killed someone. Even if you get away, you don't want to kill anybody. You just need to go. You go and you get lost, and then you'll see that if you go into that town, you won't be able to easily access any story missions that are there. You won't be able to use any stores that are there. I wouldn't say it's locked out. I'm sure it's clever enough for you to sort of maybe still get in there somewhat, but it makes you, it's making me very aware of my actions. And even though you're very much playing a bad guy who's very open about the fact that he's bad, he's not mean, he's not cruel, he doesn't have an agenda, he's like your archetypal. And again, it's like the turn of the century, so it's the dying of the West and the new frontier. It's really, really good. So I'm in chapter 2. I don't know how many chapters there are. There's people at work who play it. Chapter 4 though, I'm like, wow. He went, yeah, man. It gets going. The story really fucking starts going places, and other people are going like, oh, I'm on chapter 6. It goes crazy here. I'm like, wow. There's a lot of this game. Okay. It's good to know there's a lot of story. It's good to know there's a lot of story there because there's also about a million fucking Rockstar things you could do in the Old West, it seems.
Oh, I love all that stuff, and I've been trying not to watch too many of them, but I really am enjoying some of the random clips that are appearing on my social media feeds. Particularly it would appear that NPC interaction and the way they interact with each other can be very entertaining to watch. Can sometimes be, I guess, influenced by the player. Who doesn't want that kind of level of storytelling?
Yeah, and I think the storytelling is all punctuated by incredible acting, incredible performances all round. It genuinely is a spectacle, like it or not. You can't deny that.
Do you know something, Matt? I think this might be the first Christmas where I actually become I don't know, like a gamer, like a standard gamer, or a gamer that I probably was when I got back into video games in my late 20s, early 30s, where you're not buying the latest release every week, and a game will come out and everybody's loving it, and you're loving that they're loving it, but you're going, I'm not sure I've got time to play that right now. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it on my Christmas list. Yeah, and if I get to open it on Christmas Day, hey, that's a great thing. And I might actually be that guy this year. Red Dead will be absolutely top of my list. Maybe Spider-Man. That said, I did buy a game the other day.
On what platform?
PlayStation 4.
Your PlayStation 4's up to date with patches and shit.
Oh, I don't know. Does it have to patch to play Netflix?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because I've just got a really expensive Netflix machine at the moment.
When did your Xbox One last see sun?
Shit, I try and give them both an equal amount of love.
At least just get them updated and clear the fans out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I bought. There was an Argos deal on The Last Guardian. It's like £13. I thought, hey, that's a magic price for me. That'll do. I'm having some of that. Yeah, it's arrived. It's still in the wrapper. Probably will stay in the wrapper for the foreseeable. But now it's in my collection. I've got all of them. All of them. Anyway, that was me interrupting. Please continue.
That's right. Well, let's leave Red Dead there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I'd like to see. I'll be very keen to see where it goes from your perspective, in terms of your expectation, and this, and clearly you're initially very, very flattered and impressed, and you're jazzed about it, which is brilliant. I love to see people enthused about new games. It makes me a very happy man. So yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, to end it, I did watch the recap of what happened in the first game. Now I'm in chapter 2, and I'm so glad that I did. I think it's going to really add, like, these characters were in that game. Like, the leader of the gang is in this game, and he's as charismatic as you fucking like. I will do anything he says. He's so cool.
So you mentioned a recap there. Is that within the game itself, or did you have to go external to source that? Absolutely
external. There's some great, just search it. People put together like a 15-minute thing, and it will recap all the events of the first game, and also emphasise why it's important to enjoy the second.
Okay. No, that's good. Good stuff.
Like I say, I'm glad that I did that early on, even though I feel like I've already got a grasp of these people to understand. I know where this is going to go, or if I want to, and I think part of the enjoyment of this should be that you know what the outcome is. You could go in blind and never play the first one, but maybe knowing where it's inevitably going to go is going to add some gravitas to their storytelling.
I mean, the Red Dead Redemption went places that I didn't expect, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone who's not played it. But there was, that final act, those final few acts are very impactful and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do an awesome segue now, because I know that before I go to the toilet, we're gonna hear a chiptune that's going to be blind for me. I will find out in the edits. It better be good.
Whatever. Go and take your piss. We'll be right back. And we're back. It was a little bit of Queen because I went to see Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, did you rate it?
I thoroughly bloody enjoyed it. Now, I need to say that I've never been like a die-hard Queen fan, but I've always appreciated them from afar, and I think the music's fantastic. Freddie Mercury was a one in a million kind of guy. I mean, his range was incredible. He was just an amazing performer, and I've been tracking this one for quite a while. And you know, even from the days when Sacha Baron Cohen was linked to the project,
which I could kind of almost see.
Oh, he's the spit. I mean, if you were going to go for a lookalike, you'd go with Sacha Baron Cohen. However, it transpires there were creative differences between Cohen and the remaining members of Queen.
This is not an easy film to make by any stretch of the imagination, is it?
No, not at all, not at all. But I've got to say, Rami Malek, he did an amazing job. So this is the guy from Mr. Robot. So he's done a lot of television. It's a Netflix series, but this puts him on centre stage on the silver screen, and he knocks it out of the park. He really, really does. And it's a great story. I understand and accept that there's probably some embellishment, and I think they've largely left out the level of hedonism that Mercury got up to. You know, that they hint at it. You know, God, I never knew he was a bummer. Imagine my surprise. Ooh, kissing and a cuddling with another man. I don't feel comfortable about this. And then he spilled my popcorn, I tell you. No, all joking aside, terrific film. And if you want to have a good night out and listen to some great music, you could do a lot worse than this.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah. But before we transition totally, I was trying to transition into talking about music, so we're still on brand. We're all right. I'll style this one out, D. I almost convinced myself with that statement.
Yeah, you did. Bloody hell.
I made a purchase, and I'm not too sure whether or not it was savvy. I'm just still trying to convince myself it's savvy by spending more money on it.
Oh, right, okay. Now you've piqued my interest. Talk to me, brother.
All right, I was last weekend, a few days before on Friday night, Facebook Marketplace went, yo, Matt, check it out. Someone over here is selling the PlayStation 4 version of Rock Band 4 with the drums, the microphone, and the guitar, all the Bluetooth, band in a box.
Fantastic.
Kit, and the disc, 70 quid. I went, oh, do you know what, Future Matthew?
Future Matthew will thank me for this.
Future Matthew was going to go and get that, innit? So I went to go and pick it up, and I got it home, and I'm like, shit, look at this. look what I've done.
Look at all this plastic that I used to have, and now I've got it all back. Don't need you anymore, Darren. You're dead to me.
But of course, there's two things that I know. There's a reason why I keep a Hotmail account active and open and know the password to, because it's the one that's associated with my Xbox 360 Live thing. Right. And there are a number. There's what the actual reason I don't want to kill it is because there's history of mine in there, and every couple of years I'll dip into a folder called like trademarked my old band and find old shit. Okay. Secondly, that's got my all the purchases that we all made in the Xbox ecosystem version of Rock Band. We had all the Rock Band games, and if you remember, you could get a key to allow you to download the original discs all the way through. Yeah. There was Rock Band Blitz. You can buy Rock Band Blitz. That puts songs into your library. What I've got is all the hardware that I want, yeah? I've got one of everything. What do you fancy doing, Matty? It's all there. You got a microphone stand. Fuck, you could do two. You can Phil Collins it. Do it. And I look at the set list for Rock Band 4. I'm like, oh man, there's some slim pickings on the on the base Rock Band 4.
Barren wasteland. It's not what I remember.
Oh, even I was struggling.
Yeah.
So and as soon as I got at home, I was like, I'm so excited. I've got to see this works. Put the drums on, and I didn't set it up properly, and it's falling down halfway through, and I'm sat on the coffee table. I'm like, right, I'll find time for this. Right, there will be a time when I bring these back downstairs again. So they go upstairs, I've played on the guitar, I think twice. I'm not bothered with the singing. I'm trying to find some friends that might help. But I was playing it last night, and I was just doing it on the guitar. And normally, when the wife goes to bed and I've had a few drinks, I will either just watch crap on the telly, crap on the laptop, or play a video game. The last thing I usually do is pick up a guitar. I'm like, no, come on, dogs, Daddy's gonna rock out. Daddy's still got it. And I looked at the set list. I'm like, no, let's take a look at the looks. I looked at the marketplace down. I'm like, fuck. I reckon if what I wanted to buy that purchase for was for twice a year, when I really want to play Rock Band, what I should have done is I should have gone to the marketplace somehow and picked up a 360, the old Rock Band 3 hardware, get my account on that 360. I would have access to fucking
everything, pretty much.
Hundreds. I mean, we used to sort it by artist, and really, like, there's like 20 songs by the Foo Fighters. There's 15 Queen songs. That may have been more the better thing to do, because thinking about it, the amount of times I'm going to want to play it, I want to play it, and I want to have that library.
Is there Is this on the backward compatibility list for Xbox One?
I don't know. I'd like to think so.
I'd like to think so too.
Yeah. How many USB ports has your Xbox One got? You're going to get the fucking drums out, aren't you? And go, all the songs,
all the symbols. Oh, I've even got that bloody keytar. Remember the keyboard? Oh, yes. Got it all, mate. Got it all. It's gathering dust. But I've got it. That's all that matters. Oh, the joys of being a hoarder. Oh, good stuff, man. So, so you've got all the gear, but not a lot of songs to play.
Yeah. Right now, the drums are in that corner of the room. There's a real guitar on top of it, which is interesting, and a dressing gown. Knock yourself out. It serves now a function.
Fucking hell. It's clothes horse. Oh, my goodness. Fine. Okay. What else? We're doing well here. We
are, but I think I've got to do digital there. I've got to leave it. I've got to end it. I've got some bullshit stuff on the phone I'm playing, but I'll save that for a rainy day. I'll save that for when it's not like all the games coming out.
Well... Okay. So I guess down to me to talk. Right, you see, it's been a while. Well, it probably is not a surprise to many that I'm still really enjoying Magic the Gathering.
Have you been to any more get-togethers?
No, I haven't, and I think that's just more down to circumstance than anything else. But what I have found myself this week is looking into other formats of the game. So basically all I've been doing is playing Standard, which is the last 2 years' worth of sets. So if I was going to go and play Paper Magic somewhere else, i.e. at Chase Games, I would always go to a Standard, whether it was a pre-constructed night or whether it was a draft night. But there are other formats available. And one of those formats I'm pretty familiar with because I've got a whole cube built around it, which is Pauper. So the Pauper format is you can only use common cards. Yeah, so we understand and acknowledge there's varying levels of rarity of cards, and broadly speaking, doesn't apply all the time, but broadly speaking, the rarer the card, the better it is. All right, but that said, there's some killer common cards out there. So the Pauper format is you build a deck entirely out of common cards, and it's very much it's more of a relaxed social thing. You rarely see tournaments around Pauper. It's more about just come along, hang out, have some fun. And they're actually having a Pauper night tonight. And I'm part of the Facebook group, and I'm very, as I am with most things on Facebook, I'm very much a voyeur, and I don't involve myself very often because I don't feel I want to. However, they were talking about this Pauper night, and I just chipped in and said, guys, I'm sorry I can't make it tonight, but I would love to come to a future pauper session if these continue. So so that's led me down a rabbit hole of, right, I've got to source a good pauper deck. So that's kind of my next pet project at the moment, because I built my pauper cube. I've almost completely foiled the entire thing, which well, I'm not even going to talk about how much money that cost me, but it was a bit. And what else I'm working on? I am building a peasant cube. So a peasant cube is like a pauper cube.
Do you have to draw your own cards before you play them?
No, peasant cube is similar to pauper, but you're allowed common cards, uncommon cards also.
Okay, so it's an easier version.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily easier.
Well, it's ways of mixing things up and making things a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even those cards normally you look at and go, it's not that good. If that's potentially the best card you're going to get, that makes it just enjoying your cards.
Yeah, I just enjoy collecting them, and I love the interplay and the combos that you can pull together, and all the different styles, whether it's aggro or control, or you can build a deck which just bloody mills the opponent's deck completely, because if they're ever in a state where you have to draw a card at the beginning of your turn, if they can't draw a card, they lose the game. So there are decks out there that's specifically there just to drain the opponent's library of all their cards. It's fascinating, and I think that the time I'm spending with Magic Arena does nothing but embolden me more into, or reaffirms my thought that this game is incredible. There's a reason why it's existed for 25 years. Part of me just kicks myself and thought, why didn't I get into this when it first came out? Because I'd be a fucking millionaire.
Yeah. Oh, do you reckon, from the collecting point of view?
Yeah, well, I kind of hoard things anyway.
So you were talking about that earlier, and it'd be interesting to get a sort of a double check on you now. You're very much Magic the Gathering, Darren. How much of a ratio do you enjoy the collecting part and the filing compared to the playing?
It's all good. It's all good. I've got it all stored by set. Then it's stored by colour, and then it's stored alphabetically. So
if you had done this years ago, as well as being a millionaire, you wouldn't have walls full of huge boxes.
Well, I don't know.
It does compact itself quite nicely, don't they, cards?
Yes, they do.
Easy to arrange.
They are, and I've got some really cool. The good lady hooked me up at the back end of last year with some wine crates, and these are crates that are designed to. I mean, they've got a lid on and clasps, and there's a tray that comes out. So basically, in the bottom of the box sits 3 bottles of wine in 3 channels, and then in the top tray, another 3 bottles sit. But hey, guess what? They're the perfect size for storing cards. So yeah, she gave me 5 of them.
Have you accessorized them? Have you like Darren's best box and put stickers on them?
No, not at all. Not at all. I keep all my special cards in a special place.
Oh, is this going to be on that automatic email that happens when your heart stops?
Yes, that's the one. Only.
I hope I'm still alive to see it.
No, the good lady knows where all the good stuff is.
Wow.
Yeah, I've said to her, don't. I said, forget about all the cards. Forget about them all. You just need to find the folder. That'll pay for my funeral, and there'll be plenty left over afterwards. Hopefully, if future Darren gets looked after the way I hope he does. But no, it's great. It's great. I love it, and it's become part of the standard rotation with Darren and I doing our board game stuff. On a weekly basis, we'll always draft my cube. So despite it costing me a lot of money to pull together, I'm getting value for money out of it because within that suite of 450 cards, we randomly pick 90. Then we're drafting those 90. Every game, every time we play, it's different. But speaking of card games, and this kind of ties back to Eurogamer, and I have to apologise to a handful of people because sadly I was responsible for depleting their wallets somewhat. Because one of the things I did when I went into EGX is I made a beeline for the Games Workshop stand because they had Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions on display, and I knew they were going to be doing that. And I've kind of got into that in a good way. And that's all thanks to Darren. It was Darren who bought into that initially, because from a CCG perspective, always it's magic or fuck off. You know, I'm not willing to entertain anything else because magic. Yeah.
Give it 200 years time, there'll be people out there campaigning against the exact opposite that you said.
But no, so Darren and I played this game. He got it when it first came out, and you know what? It's really good.
Yeah,
it's a really good game. So you're basically okay. So think back to when we were younger, and I think it's more a British thing than anything else. But Games Workshop has been the staple of the unwashed for decades.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And if you didn't go in there, you knew somebody who went in there, and you could tell if they'd been in there because they stunk. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, 30 years ago, that is the case. I'm sure it's changed, hasn't it?
But the great unwashed of all those years ago
have grown up and bought a shower got a mortgage.
We've grown up. We've got mortgages. We've got a bit of disposable income, but we're still loving the Warhammer universe. There's something very special about it.
Well, it's like when now you got the money, because I used to go through. Was it White Dwarf? Was that the magazine?
Yeah.
So I used to get White Dwarf, and I would look through the papers, and when I got into it, they'd transitioned, I think, to pretty much always plastic models.
Yeah.
And it's the same with here, things like that.
They used to be lead.
And I've got a lead wizard on my wall of history.
Has he got a gnarly staff? But anyway, let me talk about this game, yeah, because it's really good. Let me give you the top down view of this. So it's a 2-player game. It's competitive, and you're one of the 4 main factions. Okay, so you depending on how familiar you are with the Warhammer universe, so the four main alliances, if you will. So there's order, there's chaos, there's death and destruction. So you select one of the factions and you build a 38 card deck around that faction or that alliance. 4 of those cards will be champions, and 4 of those cards will be blessings. The rest of the cards are made up of a mixture of units, spells, and abilities.
Right.
So the playing field, you sat opposite each other. Imagine that there's 4 lanes. There's 4 lanes on your side of the board. There's 4 lanes on the opponent's side of the board. The first thing you do when you start the game is you will place 4 champions into play, and that's where they stay, barring any sort of special conditions that moves them around. So these champions, or they some of the good ones have significant effects and buffs that, yeah, and with most. And I'll compare it to Magic, because Magic is ultimately, it's a card game with text on the cards that breaks or fucks with the rules in some way, and that's what makes it fun. So Warhammer does something very similar. Warhammer Champions. The interesting thing with Warhammer Champions is you have a life meter. So you start off with 30 health, and that can be amended upwards or downwards depending on the champions that you put into play. And the object of the game is to get the opposing team's health down to 0. The way you do that is you play units, you play spells, you play abilities in front of your champions. It's almost like your champions are deploying troops.
Are you buffing your champions as well?
Well, there's some interesting interaction, depending on the champions that you play. But the interesting hook with this game is that when you put, let's say for example, you play a unit. If you play a unit, there are four corners on a card. Yeah. Now on each of those corners, or on some of the corners, depending on what type of card you play, there's a little number on there, and the number will relate to the text on the card. It might be dealing damage, or it might protect you from X amount of damage based on the number of the corner of the card. Mm-hmm. Because at the start of each turn, your card rotates 90 degrees, and there'll be a new number. And if it's a damage dealing thing, at the start of your turn, you're dealing damage to the opposing player. Now, you can play cards that remove units from the opposite side. You can play cards that they might not do anything for 3 rotations, but on the final rotation, when it gets to the final corner, deals a shit ton of damage. It's really, really interesting. I love the way it plays. There is so this is a physical card game, and it does some really cool things. So there's a special border around each of the cards, and there's a reason why that border exists, which I'll come to in a second. There's an app. There is a digital version of the game, and I've never seen anything quite like this as far as a marriage between physical paper version of a game and a digital version of the game. Because if you play Warhammer Champions, the app, you can scan your physical collection, and it goes in. It goes into your digital collection.
This is the shit that I've been imagining for years. Is this happening now?
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. So you've got all these paper cards in front of you, and I only see Darren once a week. It doesn't matter. All these cards, I own them physically and I own them digitally, so I can take decks online and play against other people. It's amazing, and you're still earning digital stuff. It's one of those games where you win. You do your dailies, you get 3 wins, or you play 5 matches, and you'll get a little digital booster pack, and you open it, and it adds to your collection.
Well, is it more one than the other, and they've adopted the other element? Was it more app than physical, or the other way around?
No, I think from the outset that the concept was that they would work in conjunction with each other. They would work together. And is it a whole new IP? Well, the IP is Warhammer, which has been in existence for years. It's an evolution, and I know a few community members got into a game that was released either last year or the year before called Light Seekers. So it's an evolution of the Light Seekers game engine, and by all accounts, feedback I've had from people that have played both games is that Warhammer is definitely a positive evolution of the system. Oh. So there might be some Light Seekers players out there that are quite familiar with what I'm talking about. You expand your physical collection through buying booster packs. There are four campaign starter decks, one for each of the alliances. Within that, you get a very reasonably built standard deck. You also get a little booster slipped in there as well, just to give you a taste of what it's like to crack a booster pack. And within the boosters, you get 13 cards. I think there's 9 commons, a few uncommons. You get guaranteed a rare, and then you'll get either a champion or a blessing. Because I haven't even mentioned the blessings. Okay, but before I go on to that, let me just talk about the content of that booster, because I was nearly done there. I was at the vinegar strokes, because in every booster you also get a foil. You're guaranteed a foil card. All right, so I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to like foils. Hence I've foiled my entire cube. It's a crazy thing that I do, but it keeps me happy. So we go back to the gameplay, all right? So you've got your 4 champions. Yeah. You've got units and spells, etc., that get played in front, and they rotate every turn automatically, and once they get to the end of their cycle, they disappear and they go into your discard pile, which allows you to play more units, more spells, etc., etc. Within the 4 corners of each champion, there is kind of like a conditional icon that will only rotate the champion once you've played that type of card. So it might say, you might have a little unit icon in the first corner. So when you play a unit card in front of that champion, the champion rotates. Okay? For every champion that you do a complete rotation, you unlock your blessing. Now, the blessings, you know what your 4 blessings are, but they're kind of randomized, shuffled, and they're placed face down underneath your champion. Now, normally your blessings are something pretty badass. They'll either be a one-time instant effect, or it'll be something that goes through a rotation. But they're the things you want to try and aim for. So it's another layer of strategy of something you want to manage. So I'm running a deck at the moment which is all about turbo rotation. It's about getting those champions rotated as quickly as possible.
Can we just start with turbo rotation for a second? That's up there. That's up there. That's not one of the things I expected you to say tonight.
Well, it's a thing. It's a thing.
I'll tell you what you're describing is, and the excitement behind you, and what I can hear is potentially the opportunity. So if you got one card spinning, it's potentially in my mind changing the way that the rules are going to behave in different fashions, and that is what Dead Cells is like. There's a constant concept to it. I mean, there's such a random element, and they all complement each other, and just through the look of the draw, you can be like, oh shit, I didn't even think I was going to carry a bow this run, but it all seems to be favouring bows.
Well, I mean, I can only describe this so much. My command of the English language and ability to articulate the rules and regulations of this game I can only do so much. If you've got any amount of interest, go and download the app for free. It gives you a great tutorial, as most of these apps do, and you'll play through the tutorial and you'll unlock a couple of decks, and then you could decide what you want to do going forward. You could quite literally play this game as a free to play, and not have to be involved in the physical side at all. Yeah, the choice is entirely yours. But there's another bonus to buying the physical version. So within each of the campaign decks, the starter decks, there's a special card. It's called a booster card. Now these booster cards, there's like Reddit. There's Reddit groups, there's Facebook groups dedicated to people sharing these booster cards. Because the first time you scan a card, the app claims it, because all of these borders are unique. So as soon as you scan a card into your app, not only does it log that card as being available to select as a part of your deck, but you also claim ownership of it.
Is it like one of these cards has now come into existence that you could potentially be up against?
No, this is more about, well, these are the cards I've physically got. I've scanned it. It knows that I own this card, and this card's border is unique to this card, and it's the only one that exists in the world.
So does that mean there's a finite amount they can actually physically or ever digitally produce?
I would say...
Unless they fudge.
Dude, I think the technology they use, they've probably factored this shit in.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there's probably like millions and millions of variations of these border codes. But these boosters, people are posting these online for other people to scan, because when you scan it in and claim ownership, it logs it in the app. But when other people scan it, you get bonuses.
Well,
and you get stuff for free in the app.
So there's a benefit for you to go to someone and say, guess what I just got? How cool's that? Do you want to scan it?
Yeah,
because I'll get a kickback out of that some weird way.
Yeah, well, everybody wins, because the more cards you scan, you're getting free stuff. Oh. The person whose card it is, they're getting free stuff. It's a very interesting.
I like that
way of promoting things.
Have you tried scanning a photograph of one?
Oh, it all works.
Yeah,
it all works, and the scanning technology is so good. So I'll give you an example. There was like an A board. Like a flip chart board. There was 2 of them at EGX, and they were absolutely covered in these booster scans. Now, you scan a card, yeah, that works fine. If you pull your phone away, you can scan 8 or
Can you?
more at a time.
Oh wow!
It's fucking insane. I've sat there one night and just scrolled through a Facebook group, and I've just scanned. I've just sat there scanning all the cards.
Right, most people use Facebook to go look at ex-girlfriends and scan over them.
Nah, I don't do none of that business.
Hey, can I ask you a question about the digital part of the board game thing?
Yeah.
In things like Command and Conquer or Warcraft, where you were peer-to-peer connecting to do multiplayer games like that, you would always have full typing ability. And because of mobile technology and also not wanting to let people be able to say anything they want to each other, is there any kind of communication things that's sort of standard? I mean, is it generally like GGs, thumbs up?
Yeah, there's an emote system. You can select things like hello, good game, good luck, etc., etc. Like most of these games do now. Hearthstone does it. Magic Arena does it.
Even PC games.
Yeah.
Oh right. I always assumed that on the PC, because you had the keyboard, it would always let you just talk.
No, because to your point you just mentioned, they don't want people being massive dicks to each other.
Hashtag the internet.
Yeah. But you use it to your own. You use it to your own end. So, for example, if somebody's just deliberately slowing a game down on Magic Arena, I'll just spam the good game. I'll just keep going, good game, good game, good game, good game, good game.
Well, like a 70s quiz show host.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So there you go. Warhammer Champions: Age of Sigmar is it's a thing. It's physical and it's digital, and it's bloody good, and I enjoy it. God, them foils are gorgeous as well. God damn it.
Hey, I watched a film. I just remembered.
Did you now?
I watched the sequel to Mamma Mia. I watched Mamma Mia 2.
Why?
What was the subtitle for it? It would have been
Electric Boogaloo?
No. It's Coming Home. That's all that's in my head.
It's
anyway,
coming home. Football's coming home.
Yeah.
Not ABBA.
I watched a second Mamma Mia, and I was crying like a girl. Oh, I was crying
Why?
so much.
Why did you watch it?
Oh, because I watched the first one and I cried at that, and it was lovely, and I had to watch the second one. It was a guilty pleasure. Every now and again, having a good cry is always a good thing to do. It's a good way of getting emotion out of you. It's like sometimes you'll laugh so hard and you cry so hard and you'll exclaim so hard. It's nice to get out of your system. It's like a mental wank.
Yeah, but okay. So if you use that analogy, for me, watching Mamma Mia is like it's like wanking over your nan. All right, it's going to do a job, but there's got to be better things that can emote you. I
didn't feel shame after watching Mamma Mia. I don't know how you feel after that. No, I felt in touch.
Okay, have you watched La La Land?
Yeah, man, that's a great film.
That's supposed to be good. I've not watched that yet.
You should watch some more films, fella.
No, I don't. I'm trying. I've added to my Christmas list, and I've seen it pop up in my Facebook feed, but also Amazon have a thing available. So this is kind of like a top 100 films you're supposed to watch before you die.
Yeah.
And it's like a big A1 poster, but there's all kind of little scratch off areas on it. So it gives you all of the films that you need to watch, and every time you watch a film, you scratch the little panel off. So you're kind of tracking your history of, what have we watched and what have we not watched. So I've put that on my Christmas list. The good lady said, "Are we? Because I said, well, if I get this, we need to watch all the films." I said, even if one of us has seen them before, we both need to watch them together.
And there might be some bad ones in there as well, which you've both seen before, and go, we've got to.
No, but there's some great ones on there. So there's a Star Wars trilogy and blah, 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 blah. Stuff that I know that she'd normally actively avoid. Because
Is she going to say, right, how many of these has got Gandalf in it?
But this is it. She says, can we play a Joker so we don't have to watch Gandalf? I said, you're a third of the way through it. She says, that was bad enough. I said, come on, it wasn't that bad.
Definitely don't tell her the Hobbit films exist. Even I can't watch them.
No, she knows the Hobbit films exist, and she can't stand Martin Freeman. So that'd be like a worst nightmare. It would be an absolute worst nightmare. I wouldn't inflict that upon her. Bless her. So yeah, 100 films. We're going to watch them together, and that'll be up on the wall. Pride of place. So I am going to watch more films. I'm just so glad Mamma Mia isn't on that list. Oh, don't get me wrong, my friend. I loves me a bit of ABBA. Yeah, I loves it. I loves the Dancing Queen. I love what's the other one? Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight. Yeah, that's a good one. Very popular in the gay quarter. That one. I believe.
There was that Fernando fella.
Yes, Fernando. What's the one about the curry? Chicken tikka. Yeah, chicken tikka. Tell me what's wrong. Yeah, Xanadu. No, that was Olivia Newton-John, but that's a good song as well. Yeah, but all the good ABBA's stuff. But don't give me some crass, banal bullshit story. And I don't want to see Pierce Brosnan singing. I want to see him running people over in a tank. All right, that's where he belongs.
He did that once.
That once was enough.
Actually, no. It would appear once isn't enough if you want to see it again.
Well,
just watch GoldenEye for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, GoldenEye's great. Oh yeah, I want to get crushed to death by her thighs. God, damn it.
Hey, speaking of thighs, female Doctor Who.
Decent. Who knew? Doctor's not got Willie anymore. Part of the internet's going absolutely mental about that. I'm personally quite relaxed. She's far easier on the eye than old Peter Capaldi, I've got to tell you. All right. Now that is like wanking over your nan. Don't know what to say. I don't know what more you want from me. Oh, I tell you, I'm so stuck in the past. So I'm watching movies about old rock bands. Well, not old rock bands. You know, Freddie died in 1991. Yeah, that's a long time ago for some people. When was Luther out?
Is it in the film?
No, it's in the BBC TV show.
Oh, big fella, Idris fella.
Idris Elba.
I don't know, 2012?
Something like that. Yeah. Well, they've dumped them all on the BBC iPlayer. So we started watching that because I've never seen it.
No, but I always heard good things about that.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. And I've got to admit, my friend, I got a bit of a man crush on the Idris.
Is it? Do you know what? I think I've seen him act a few times, and I think I probably could as well.
Yeah, I could. Have you seen Pacific Rim?
Is that euphemism?
No, it should be. It's not a great film, but Idris is in it. Oh, I loves me a bit of Idris. Wasn't he in? What was that HBO show? Set in America, lots of drugs. And it was a different story every season. Shit, it escapes me. He was in that, but but that was before I knew him properly. I thought he's a damn fine American actor. He's not. He's British, and that made me feel really good.
Yeah, he was in the Stephen King's Tower thing.
Yes,
Tower?
yes, Dark Tower. Yes.
Dark Tower.
Black Tower. Oh, that's the wine. That's the high quality wine which you take down on a Friday night.
Did his name mentally come up because he's often been linked with a potential Bond, as in first Black Bond, first.
Oh, I'd love to see him as Bond
and first woman Doctor. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Come on, Idris, sort it out.
Haven't we got another Blondie before the next? I'm sure.
I believe so.
I'm sure something Bond.
The Craig will return as Bond, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Coming up here with all of his money penny.
Oh, yes. Yes. Miss Tuppence. Show us your Tuppence, money penny.
Yeah, you know how Friends got dropped on Netflix and everyone was like, man, people were really sexist in the 90s. Someone go back and watch some old fucking Bond movies, man. That's 70s sexism right there, you hear me?
Yeah, but he was written as a misogynist character. You know, that was Bond's style. There you go. I think we're due starting to wrap up.
I think we're lucky to have got this far.
Yeah, because we'll talk about my holiday shenanigans after the end credits.
All right. Well, you need to pull up iTunes because we've got at least 3 people to thank.
Oh God! But I've not switched this laptop on since we last recorded.
Well, I can't open anything without something breaking. So you do that.
I'm firing up iTunes now. So if this all goes to shit, it's your fault.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll start with some domestics while you're loading things up.
Yeah, please do that.
All right. It's been a long time, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't like to leave it as long as we do, and we will always endeavour to bring you. I'm always fascinated, Darren. I subscribe to shit tons of podcasts, but there's not many that I subscribe to. I'm like, I look at it now and again, think like, are they still going? Are they still
alive?
And then again, you go, oh shit, yeah, they're still alive. It's like, okay, yes, there was a build-up of milk bottles outside the podcast door, but we've collected them, and we appreciate you being here. Darren, how are we doing with?
I've got it. I'm here. I'm on it.
Oh, wicked!
I'm on it.
Have you sorted it by recent?
Yes, I've done all that because you're always at the top, you cheeky bastard, reviewing your own show. One show in and I'm subscribed. Well done, Matthew of 2008. That was an inspired choice of words. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Who's second?
Right, this is who I'm thanking, okay? We are thanking together. We've got C Tucker 0821. He's been listening for a little over a year. Now, I'd be curious to know whether you've kind of just been listening to the late shows, or have you gone back? Have you gone right back? Because there's 2 ways to approach us. You either pick it up and go, all right, okay, I'm not going to bother going back, or you go balls deep and you go right back to the beginning. Because it was a lot different back then, my friend. We were knowledgeable and savvy, and we kept our finger on the pulse of the video games industry. Now it's just fucking holidays abroad and fingers up the arse occasionally when Matt goes away on a funny weekend. He says keep it up, guys. We'll endeavour to. I've got special tablets for that. I'll just keep taking those. Jong, Jong. And he's got some crazy ASCII stuff going on either side, which is great. You know, each to their own. Got no axe to grind over that. But he's been listening for just over 2 years now. Yeah, he cites great content, good laughs, and the podcast actually got him back into gaming. So, so thank you, John G, because. We appreciate your kind words, and I'm glad that we've been responsible for getting you back into something that that you once clearly enjoyed. So welcome back, fam. And finally, MDH War Machine. Whoa, that's a solid name. That's a solid name. And he gets straight into it. He doesn't piss about love this pod. Right? Doesn't even say podcast. He fucking knows the score. Love this pod. And definitely one of the best for gamers and geeks all around. Keep it up. Everybody wants us to keep it up, Matthew. What says you? How do you plan to keep it up?
Oh, I will keep doing. I'll keep doing, Darren. I'll keep doing it. It will keep up.
Yeah, don't go changing, my friend. Because we wouldn't like that. We like our Matthew slightly pissed, slightly high, and he's all good.
Oh, but I'm so fucking old these days, fella.
Oh, I know you are.
I might be old, but I ran 6 kilometres.
Well, you know, my hat goes off to you for that, because I couldn't run 6 kilometres.
It was on a treadmill. It was lovely and easy. I think I was there all afternoon. It was pleasant.
Or did you sit down and put the dog on it? Anyway, thank you to all those people that left us a review. It is very much appreciated. Even after all these years, it's always a delight to see those things. So, any more domestics? How far did you get? Because I wasn't really listening to you.
Oh, I don't know. Go find out.
something Facebook group. Hey, guess what? We're on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're all about the gram now. It's all for the gram.
All right. I'll tell you something. I forget what it was, but there was a reason, and it was a legit reason. This wasn't pervy Matthew reason, but there was a reason that I clicked a link, and it punched out to an Instagram link, and it says you have to be signed in to look at this fella. I went, oh. And so I signed in, took a look at it. And I can't remember what it was. It was absolutely nothing nefarious whatsoever. And then I realised it was in the group history.
So you signed in as Midlife Gamer, looking at wrong stuff, and now you're trying to publicly gloss it over, nobody gives you shit for it.
Styling it out publicly.
Styling? What's he styling it out? Is this some sort of bullshit work buzzword?
No.
Or is this something from your fucking homeopathy feel-good factor?
Oh, don't even start, fella. Look, we haven't got time for it right now, but if anyone wants to hear about me having Reiki, maybe that'll be maybe next show.
Next show? Okay. You heard it here first. Matthew does Reiki.
I don't.
All right. What a fucking car crash of a conversation that's going to be. I'm calling it now. Fucking hell! Don't even start me off. Right then, let's start. I can almost hear the outro starting to get faded in. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Matthew and I always enjoy having these conversations, and we're so proud to be able to deliver this content to you on a ad hoc basis. It appears now. Let's be clear, but we'll continue to do it as long as we're alive and able. So take care of yourselves. Be wonderful to each other. Go balls deep wherever you can, and join us next time when we bring you another exciting episode of the Midlife Gamer podcast. Say goodbye, Matthew.
Stay strong, fam.
So a couple of interesting things to tell you on the back of the holiday. So I went to Turkey for 10 days. Beautiful. A resort called Side, or Side, if you don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's Side. But it was lovely. The weather was gorgeous because at that time of year, so this was back end of September, early October. There's only a few places in the world where you can get to within a couple of hours that are any cop weather-wise. You can go to Gran Canaria, go to that part of the world, or you can go to Turkey or Cyprus. Anyway, so we got there, checked in, everything was fine. Now, I'm pretty comfortable on the bodily movement front, broadly speaking. I'm what?
When you say bodily movement, do you mean because we all move our bodies when we move our bodies?
Okay, so when you get up in the morning and you sit on the toilet, you have a movement.
Oh gosh, okay. So you're taking a shit, okay.
All right. Well, I was trying not to be as crude as that, but yeah, right. When it comes to taking a shit, I'm pretty regular. Yeah, I don't have any issue whatsoever.
Right, this story better have an ending that required that much backstory.
Right. Well, I'm
laying
laying
it
out for you. I'm setting the scene.
Right, are we all there? I'm there.
Because we arrive there and I'm enjoying the food, etc., the drinks, blah, blah, blah. And then I come to realise after about 2 days, I've not gone to the toilet. I'm starting to worry a little bit, and me and the missus, we have these kind of random conversations. We were talking about, well, looks like you're constipated. You've probably you've had too many eggs, and you want to try fruit, etc., etc. So, look, I'm not the guy that gets constipated or poo shy, as some people would like to say. Okay, a poo shy person only likes to shit in their own home, and they won't do it anywhere else. But I've never been poo shy. I'll take a shit anywhere. So I was genuinely constipated. So, but one of the things that I wanted to do on this holiday, because I'd already scoped it out before we went, is that they had some spa facilities on site, and they were offering up a hammam service. So a hammam is it's a specialist Turkish massage. And there's a good amount of sort of cleansing and exfoliation within that massage process. And I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity to get a longer lasting tan, because if you go and get yourself fully exfoliated within the first day or so of arriving, you're taking all that dead skin off your body, and you're just giving yourself a good chance of, well, tanning is burning your body, isn't it? Let's be clear, yeah? There's no science behind it. When you're going brown, it's because your skin is burning, yeah? So if you've got young, fresh, clean, healthy skin that isn't going to fall off, because, hey, guess what? This is what happens. You shed skin all the time, yeah? So why don't you just get rid of that top layer, which is probably going to fall off within the next week or so, and leave yourself with that under layer, which is going to hang around a lot longer. This is the way you got to think about it, brother. Says, right, we're going to go have this hammam. So we did, but the problem was, see, I was getting all nervous. I said to the good lady, I said, well, like I'm constipated. you know when they massage me, it's not going to come out like I'm like some sort of human-sized brown toothpaste. And as he's pushing down on me, there's a poo peeling out of my arse.
Guess what?
What?
That setup was totally worth it. Carry on.
I'm not finished, my friend. So we goes in there, get to the hammam. Right. They even put robes in our room. It's one of these places where, if you're going to come down to the spa, come down in your robe.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm in my robe, and I've got my
I've
got my trunks on.
You're all almost naked.
No, I've got
almost
my trunks
naked.
On. I've got my trunks on, because they said, yeah, come down in your trunks. I said, fine, I'm happy to do that. So gets down there, and so me and the good lady, we're led into separate rooms. Now, interestingly enough, first thing that startled me is, well, I've got a bloke and she's got a bloke. That ain't fair. That ain't right. That's not right.
Did she have the pretty bloke?
Well, he was a bit more buff than mine, I've got to say. Not that I was comparing and contrasting, but it just got subconsciously struck me. Well, hang on. Either she has a bloke and I have a woman, or she should have a woman and I should have a bloke for massaging.
Do you really see this as a scoring system?
Well, no, I just thought, well, everyone's banging on about equality in business. There's a disparity here which needs to be addressed. No. Anyway, I'll let it slip. So first thing we did, pardon the fun. There's so we go into this kind of hot bath, hot steam room area, and it's fucking huge.
Well, all four of you?
Really huge. No, just the two of us. So they lead us in, and then they leave. So we're sat there sweating our bollocks off, going, well, this is fun, but this is opening your pores up. It's opening your pores up to be welcomed into the hands of your man. So anyway, we're in there for 10 minutes, and then they drag us out into our separate, I guess it's almost like a wet room. It looked almost like a morgue slab. So the guy lays me down on this morgue slab, and then he gets this big, huge fucking exfoliating mitt. And he's lathered it all up, and then he's giving me a good old scrub, and he's doing my back, and he's doing my legs, and he's getting inside my thigh.
There's a good Darren. There's a good Darren.
Steady on, son. He's doing all my arms and everything. He does my face, which is all great. But these guys, I think it's a traditional thing. It's a cultural thing. He's wearing nothing but what could be described as a tea towel. Yeah, and I'm laid there thinking, his knob's right near my face. I hope this ain't going to go south. I sincerely hope this isn't going to go south. Because I know you're quite relaxed about these things. Apart from that one time when you had your nad touched, and that crossed an invisible line which you didn't know existed. So he's massaging me, and it's great. And then they put us back together, and we're laid on these benches, and they've come and put mud on our faces. It's probably going to do something nice for us. So we're laying there for 10 minutes, just having a chat, having a glass of wine or something.
Are you in the nud?
No, 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 no. I've got one of these fucking tea towels on as well. Yeah. So then it goes back in, and then he gives me the full treatment. Then he gives me the massage. You know, one of those ones where your face is down in a hole. Yeah. And I thought, this is the worst milking table I've ever seen because the hole's in the wrong place. Worst milking table ever. Yeah, so I had a good, I had a good old massage, mate, and that set me up for the week. But I don't know whether what he did to me worked in some way. But that very same evening, I had a movement. I had a movement unlike any that I've ever done before. I wouldn't even go as far as to say it was King Kong's finger. It was King Kong's finger and his wrist and his forearm. I've never shit so much in my entire life.
Did you shit Kong deep?
Kong deep, it was... Do you know that episode of South Park where Randy does the biggest poo ever? Hot, 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 hot. He's spinning around on the chair. It was like that. I had to lift myself up. Because, you know, normally if you do a big one, you kind of... The tip sometimes pokes out above the waterline. I would say 50%, more than 50% of this cable was above the equator. And the worst thing of it, Matthew, the worst thing of it all, it wasn't a clean crimp.
Right.
I
apologise to everybody for having to hear and imagine that. Thank you, Darren.
I had to dive straight into the shower. I said, I need to get in the shower and sort this out. I said, I'm pleased that I've gone, but I was disappointed with the ending. I would have liked a clean crimp there. So I'm there, I'm sorting myself out. And do you know what I managed to do? I don't know. I might have a hairy arse or something. But I'm there, I'm having a clean round the back. Lo and behold, what do I pull out? An entire piece of sweet corn. Just wedged in my ass. Now, I know sweet corn just passes through your body, you know. But for me to be in the shower and go, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a piece of sweet corn. But Jolly Green Giant's been to visit, hasn't he?